Someone can't teach you industrial sales if they've never been in the industry.
You're gonna get tips and tricks from our sales lives that you won't get anywhere else.
What I'm trying to get us to be is the biggest industrial sales and marketing agency like in the world. We're not playing for average at all, ever. I don't want any client, if we surveyed them, to be like, yeah, it's good. Like, I want to be like, dude, they're awesome. What's up, guys? I'm Kyle Mylan. Today I'm joined with Alex and Sebastian to talk about sales on this Thursday's live. We're talking about RFQs, so I figured what better than to bring in the two sales guys that are dealing with RFQs all day, every day, and they're going to talk about the way that we do it and issues that you guys have from your standpoint. If you're new to the content, head over to YouTube, type in my name, subscribe, turn on notifications. Make sure that if you're on YouTube watching this on the replay, follow me over on LinkedIn. I'm going to let these guys take it away.
All right, what's up? You know who I am. I'm gonna let Sebastian introduce himself a little bit here. He's my new sales guy. He's awesome. So why don't you tell the crowd a little bit about yourself?
Appreciate it. I'm Sebastian Hearn. New here to MF Tribe, doing business development and sales. I've got a background in photography and stoked to get into industrial.
And he loves guns, just like us. I'm just kidding, guys. All right. But no, he does. But okay. So we're gonna get into the first point here. So as Kyle said, we're going from, we just got an RFQ. Now we're trying to close it. Laura, am I too tall on this one? I guess we didn't take into consideration my height on this. But so we're going to go, we just got an RFQ. So you just finished that discovery call. That client said, yes, he wants or she wants an RFQ. They want a quote. They want to know what you're going to do for them. So the first thing that we're going to, want to do is we're going to want to understand the client's needs and pain points. You need to make sure that after that discovery call that you really understand what needs and pain points they have, so that when you're creating that proposal, you're creating something that is catered to them. They don't feel like it's a copy paste. Like, I hate that, everybody hates, when they're trying to spend money, they don't want to have that copy paste feel. So you want to make it feel like for them that it's really tailored, because it is tailored towards them. If you're offering them a product, if you're offering them a service, you're really trying to offer them a solution, whether that be to save them money, whether that be have less downtime, whether that to be to increase their production, whatever it might be. So I'm gonna let Sebastian riff on here for a second while I write this down. Client needs and pain points.
Yeah, something important here is that this process of building a quote starts before your discovery call. You should understand the company and at least their basic needs on their way coming in, whether that's through your contact forms or otherwise to get that initial data. And then you need to be asking all these questions in the discovery call. If you're having to email them for questions afterwards, you should revisit your strategy within the call so that you're prepared to write that quote at the end of it.
Exactly. So like, for example, if your client's struggling with lead times, emphasize that your company's faster turnaround or how fast your company's turnaround is in comparison to the industry average. Again, you just need to be addressing how your solution uniquely solves their problems, and then everything that Sebastian said. I guess I sat down. I should have just kept standing up because we're going to go to the second point here.
Part two.
But, we always talk about it. We always talk about understanding their pain points, and that's something that, as Sebastian said, should be done at the beginning. And if you guys aren't doing that, your likelihood for signing that client or getting that deal really does start to, drop down. We've all been there. We haven't asked, the appropriate amount of questions. I'm sure that everybody who is a sales guy has, lost one of those deals because you didn't ask the right questions. You knew that you had a product or a service that really could solve their problem or, create that solution that they're looking for, but you didn't happen to ask enough questions to really pitch it to them the correct way. Sometimes we're not feeling hot, but you need to make sure that you are doing that research so you understand that. All right, so number two, kind of ties into this one. If you're doing the research and you understand the pain points, it's, personalizing that follow-up. So you got to personalize the follow-up. I'll let Sebastian, he has been doing that all day, or actually all week.
We sure
I can't
have.
spell personalize. I can't spell personalize.
Coming off of Fab Tech,
Yeah,
a lot
I'll
of
let him
follow-up.
go.
A lot of follow-up there. this is a place to be specific in your solutions and how they address their problems, not a place to reiterate your services. You show that you paid attention and that all of your solutions have been customized to them. Kind of going off Alex's before, not using boilerplate verbiage is really important. And a place to be a little more creative in it. Show what you're thinking for the strategy, show multiple steps in it, really get them invested in your strategy that you're presenting in this quote.
Yeah, exactly. And if one of the big things that I like to do is, I try and take mental notes. I'm handwriting stuff. I really try and make sure that if someone has harped on a problem that they've had, that they've continually, is that the right word?
Continuously?
Yeah, continuously. There we go. It's been a long couple weeks, guys. Continuously coming across, it's one of the things that they can't quite fix. They can't quite solve themselves, no matter what product or what service they're utilizing. It seems to be the same problem. My follow-up, that's going to be my first initial thing. If I know that I can solve that problem and I have a solution for them, that's going to probably be in my subject line. That's going to be the first thing that I'm trying to get them to do and to read in my follow-up, because I want to reiterate to them that I have the solution for their problem. And it's going to be, it's going to be cost efficient. It's going to be better than any other solution that's out there. Whatever your value prop is, you got to make sure that you're personalizing it, because if you just copy and paste, as I even said with the, understanding the pain points and creating the proposal, they're going to feel like you're just, I always use it, car sales guy, but I always say that, but
yeah.
Car salesman. You're going to feel like that car salesman.
A thought that I have on note taking, I think a lot of us note take in the same way, just jotting down general thoughts, general metrics. I like to visit my notes after the meeting while it's still fresh and rewrite it as if I'm talking to my manager, right? Or I'm talking to Kyle. Come back, rewrite it in a more conversational tone. And I find that helps you kind of dig into those points more, is where if you try and revisit your highlights a few weeks later, when you are writing that quote for them, you may have lost something in there.
Yeah. And we all know that notes, we all, taken notes, whether it be in school, whether it be being a sales guy, we know that when we're taking notes, when we reread them right afterwards, it makes sense to us. If we wait 2 or 3 weeks to rewrite them or reread them, sometimes we'll look at it and we'll go, I do it to myself. I go, ooh, okay, what did I mean here? And then I have to go back and either rewatch the discovery call to go, okay, that makes sense. That's what I meant here. Or if you do it as you do, rewriting it, it's perfect. You don't have to do that again. So just an example of what I'd use for you guys is, you notice that the client specified, they have tight tolerances in the RFQ. So you want to, when you're doing the follow-up, reassure them that our processes ensure precision, to within 100ths of an inch, which is addressing your exact requirement with that tolerances. Or if you guys are selling a machine or you're selling a service, making sure that you come back to that issue that they have and reassure them that we can do it. Send them a case study, send them proofs, even in the email, just send them something so it reassures them that your solution can fix their problem.
That one's super important for all our sales engineers out there. If you're selling a technical product, especially machinery, it's really good to revisit those very specific points.
Yeah, because you guys know, especially if you guys are a sales engineer out there, that you're selling to fellow engineers, or you're selling to people that really are looking for that high level form of understanding. You guys have that advantage. You guys can speak to that engineering term. You have other sales guys that might be selling, their equipment that have to bring in an engineer to better explain it. If you guys are sales engineers, I utilize my automation people as much. I wish I knew how much they knew, because it would make it easier that I didn't have to bring them in. But you have that advantage that you can address that. You can get to that engineer and go, look, I know what you're talking about. I know the tolerances. I know the specifics of what you're trying to do and what you're trying to achieve. And I know that we can do it. So
yeah, you can lean on your team.
Yes.
Shameless plug, all our writers are engineers.
Yeah.
So when we have questions, we go to our writers because they understand it better than we do.
Yeah, and sometimes even after going to the writers, they're at that high level where I'm like, okay, now I'm just going to put you in contact with the engineer now, because I don't even know how to pass that message along. All right, number 3, you're going to highlight your unique value prop. So these are kind of tying in all into each other to an extent, obviously, because it is after that, you're getting that quote, or you got that request for quote phase. So now you're going to highlight your unique value prop. So I'm just going to put value prop here. So you want to make sure that you are highlighting the main reason why you are the best. Our highlight, for example, is the ones that follow us know our value prop is we are industrial. We know industrial. We know the ins and outs. We have degreed engineers on staff that do all of our writing. We're consistently out there learning. We have Laura and her awesome video team that's out here always becoming better. That is our value prop. You know, you guys might have a value prop of, if you're a tool maker, you know, our tools last way longer, you know, our tools are more efficient, you know, our tools are cheaper, whatever it might be. Make sure that you're highlighting that value prop, because there's a reason why clients come to you. You have your niche, you know, there are the high levels, you know, as we call them, the Bugattis of, you know, sales, you know, that's going to be your thing. We have the most expensive, but it is worth it because, you know, it outlasts, you know, the cheaper ones, or it is the quality that you're looking for. Then you have your middle of the ground where you're like, look, we're cost effective, but we have that, you know, that sense of value in what we're selling. Then you have the low end ones where you're like, look, we're cheap, we're there to get the job done, and that's what we're there to do. So no matter what value prop you have, make sure that that's the one that you're pushing, because you can't sit there and be a Bugatti and try and sell to the lower end levels, because you got to understand your perfect client. So making sure that understanding your perfect client, you'll be able to pitch that value prop. And if you have the correct clients, that value prop is going to make sense to them. If you're pitching to the wrong client, then that value prop's not going to make sense to them. Like us going and pitching to, you know, restaurants and stuff like that and saying what we're doing, our value prop isn't going to make sense to them, because they're going to go, no, you know, even though we are marketing services and we can do everything for a restaurant, we don't focus on that. They're not going to be able to afford us because we pay for the experts that we have in-house. So I know I just kind of went off on a riff there. So add something into there. What do you feel about that?
You know, I think as salespeople, we love the challenge of cracking a cold case.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not best to try and sell to someone that's not interested. Our time is valuable. And so if you can keep moving on until you get that feeling from the prospect of like, okay, this is a good road to go down, make sure you're allocating your efforts well. I think when you're competing against very similarly positioned people, whether you're at the Bugatti or you're at the Harbor Freight level, knowing that speed to target, right? The speed that you can implement your product or service is always going to be really, really important, especially in our world now that moves a lot quicker than it used to. And so finding ways to make your pipeline more efficient, whether that's through automation like we like to use, or a bunch of different ways. If you can find a way to be faster than your competition, either in response or in implementing that product or service, I think that's always going to give you an important edge.
Yeah, exactly. And using stories to your advantage, you know, using stories that amplify your value prop, that amplify, you know, the quality, the service, you know, whatever it might be that we are, the customer service. Your value prop could be customer service. The amount of clients that we deal with that's value prop is customer service, and the people that keep coming back to them because of the customer service. They might be one of those mid-ground, mid-tier. They have the, you know, value in it. It's not the, you know, the highest quality, but the fact that they have that customer service that's responding to them, people want to buy from them more, even more so. Even though they can afford the Bugatti, they want to buy from them because they have that customer service. That could be your value prop.
Personalized touch.
Yeah.
And be specific with it. You can say, hey, we have great customer service, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
I think a lot of folks would say that about themselves. But if you can come in and be specific and say, hey, our ticket times are 24 hours, you'll get a response, and our solution times are 1 week. We can fix your machine in 1 week.
Yeah.
That's really valuable.
Yeah, it is. And then using those examples, hey, we had a client that came in that had a broken machine. You know, you guys are breaker fixers or whatever, breaker services or whatever it might be that you guys are doing. They came in, it was broken. We fixed it in 3 days. Their downtime from the competitors would have been, they quoted them 3 to 6 weeks. You know, that's one of yours. Focus on that value prop, because that's why your company is there, and that's why your company does what it does, is to be that value prop. And if you guys don't know what your value prop is, if you're a new company and you're trying to figure out what your value prop is, get with your engineers, get internally. I guarantee you, if you guys get in and just talk about what makes you different, you'll find that value prop really quickly. It doesn't even have to be a whole day thing.
Ask your clients.
Yes.
Ask your current clients, why did you choose us? And if they've renewed, why do you continue choosing us? They're going to have some great insight that your team may not have as well.
Yeah.
You know, use all your resources there.
Yeah, exactly. Great example there. So another example that I'm going to use is, you know, using, if you're in aerospace, you know, one of your clients in the aerospace sector reduced downtime by 30% after switching to our components thanks to our quality control process. Quality control could be one of your value props there. All right, we're going to end the value prop conversation because I feel like we could do a whole live on that. Maybe we should do that, Laura, is a whole value prop maybe when we run out of ideas. Number 4, we're going to present a clear and compelling proposal. The importance of presenting a clear proposal, even if you have them going, I want to buy, I love you guys, everything like that. If you send them a proposal that doesn't cover or tell the client what their deliverables are, what you guys' service is, what the product is, the down times, the delivery time, whatever it might be. If you don't have that in there, you guys are leaving yourself open to some criticisms, to some no's, to some pushback, because if they don't feel that the proposal covers everything that you guys discussed, even after they did give you the thumbs up, they're going to be like, wait a minute. I was comfortable with the conversation, but this proposal doesn't necessarily speak to the conversation that we had. Yes, it addresses the outlying problems, but it doesn't go into specifics. Going into the specifics, you can't be specific enough. You really can't. And if you think that you can, you're obviously not explaining your product or service well enough to your client. Because the deeper you get, the more understanding they have, the less likelihood they have of misunderstanding or not understanding what your product or service capabilities are or anything like that. Because they're going to go, understood, this is what it is, this is what we're looking for. They understand what we're trying to purchase from them or the service that we're trying to get from them. And we feel comfortable. Because the first issue that you have, that proposal is going to come open. If it's a service that you guys are offering, they're going to open that. If it's a product you guys are offering, they're going to look at, maybe potentially the return, whatever it might be, they're going to look at that because they're going to go, wait a minute, is this covered, whatever it might be. So again.
And when you pull a loose thread, what happens? Whole thing comes apart.
Yeah.
I got a great note from a mentor once and it was specific to copywriting, but write with your backspace, write with your delete button. And I think that comes into proposal writing as well. Being very specific. I think a lot of times we like to write conversationally.
Yeah.
But going in there and after you've done your initial brain dump onto the page, summarize and remove as much unnecessary writing and unnecessary verbiage in there that could cause confusion as possible.
Yes.
So that you just end up with the core tenets of what you're trying to present to them.
Yes, exactly.
You don't want them to get lost up in all that.
That is a great point to bring up because so when I said you can never get too specific. So you can never get too specific, but you can, as he said, explain things too openly. You can have too many verbs in there where things could be taken a certain way. And since you understand the product or service that you're offering, it would make sense to you, but people might not understand in depth because they're not, in that company, using that product or service. They might start drawing conclusions that don't really line up to what you guys, are offering them. So you want to make sure that you are dealing with backspace, deleting things that you go, if you're reading it and you go, this could, lead them to assuming that this is what we're trying to do. No, because also you could pigeonhole yourself and you could be too much verbiage and they could go, okay, so this is actually what they're kind of offering to me. I don't think that we could utilize all of this. I use Salesforce as an example for that. Salesforce, they have all these things that they have to offer. Unless you have a big team that's going to utilize all of this, why would you pay for that? So what they're going to think that same thing. Well, you say that this offers all of this as well. Just focus on what they're trying to do. If you tell them, well, it can do all of this as well, they're going to try and be like, okay, but I don't want it to do that. Yeah. So can we either decrease the price or this is not something that actually I'm looking into? So very good. For sure. I love that.
In the early days of doing photography as a freelancer, I struggled with writing openly with the personal hope that they would draw their own conclusions that would solve their own concerns.
Yeah.
The problem there is that there weren't any concerns that have been brought up yet. We have the specifics of what they need, and we can try to, with all this open language, to address upcoming concerns, but there's really nothing to do until they bring it up, until they ask it.
Yeah.
So don't put yourself in a hole or don't give yourself a string to unravel if you don't really need to.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. That's a good, the string unravel thing. I love that. I'm going to start trying to use that more.
Yeah, go for it.
All right.
All yours.
So, we'll go into number 5. You got to create a sense of urgency. We've kind of gone over creating the clear and compelling proposal. So you also need to create a sense of urgency. Now we know we're an industrial. We know that there is a very fine line between creating a sense of urgency and creating a sense of annoyance. There are, you machine guys out there that are selling machinery. That you can't sit there and be like, hey, for the next 3 months, we're offering a 20% discount. We're doing this, and that, because the sales cycles are long. That, hey, they're coming in and talking to you. Their thing isn't for, that they're not going to make the decision until 10, 12 months down the line. That's a difficult way to create sense of urgency. However, you can still create a sense of urgency around that. Hey, they're making their decision, in 10 months. you know, hey, if I start following up with them, you know, maybe in 6 months to see, or maybe every 3 months to see what's going on. Has the timeline changed? Are there different things that they're kind of looking at now? Because projects change. We all know that projects change
Yeah,
in
they
industrial.
sure do.
They could come in and go, this is what we're going to do. And then their client comes in and actually needs it to be bigger, needs it to be more. They need more, or whatever it might be. So they're going to come in, it's going to change. So if you're the one that's in there, you know, saying, hey, what's going on? Any news? You know, don't be annoying. If they've told you we're making a decision in 10 months, creating that sense of urgency could be 6 months out, could be 3 months out, could be 5 months out. You need to understand the client, understand that relationship, and really be able to lean on that relationship. Sebastian does it already all the time. I do it when I can, because I know, hey, I have this good relationship with this client. I can maybe push them a little bit and be like, hey, look,
Definitely.
sign now. If you sign now, we can hold this price for you, you know, something like that. If you can get with your sales manager and go, hey, if you know, it's 3-4 months out, I know, are you guys, hey, we're really leaning towards you. Okay, hey, if you sign now, we can keep this price, you know, or you're going to go, hey, you know, in 2025, you know, your new press brakes or your machinery is going to go up, creating that sense of urgency. Hey, you know, our 2024 models or 2023 models, I'm using this as like it's a car, but, you know, there are machineries out, you know, your machinery sales guys are always, you know, improving your machine sales. Hey, look, we've got this. Or creating that sense of urgency. I just spoke with a client today that actually goes and sells used machinery as well.
Mhm.
So if you guys are out there, you know, selling machinery and you're trying to create some sense of urgency for them, going like, hey, look, you know, these prices that we have in stock, or this machine that we actually have in stock, you know, they're flying out the door pretty quickly. If, you know, you're looking to make decision soon because of lead times and everything like that, pushing that sense of urgency. There's a multitude of different ways to force a sense of urgency. You just need to know how to do it. And we can talk about it all we can, but you really need to, as a sales guy, you guys know when you can do it, how you can do it, if you really trust your gut. So again, urgency. That's
For
what I'm
sure.
gonna put.
And with selling products or materials with fluctuating prices, I think that's always a good one to lean on.
Yes.
But on the service side, you know, something where maybe you have a pricing schedule for the year, and that could adjust over time. But staying in the driver's seat can also be with you scheduling your follow-ups, right? You may know that they need a little decision making. They need to go to their superiors. They have to take it to HQ overseas. Just saying, hey, I'm going to follow up with you in 2 weeks. You're not rushing them. You're not pressuring them, but you are giving them a timeline in which they have to act.
Yeah.
They now know that, all right, I have to get my approvals in the next 2 weeks so that we can have this conversation, and keep in control of the sales process that way so that you're not chasing them. If you can get them, what we try to do is always have the next meeting or call scheduled by the end of the one you're currently in.
Yeah.
That way there's no opportunity for them to start ignoring emails or whatever that looks like there. Because we don't want to be pushy. We don't want to be our car salesman.
Yeah.
But we do want to stay in the driver's seat as far as the deal.
Yeah. It's perfect. I couldn't put that any perfectly perfect, or perfect. I don't even know.
Thank
I
you.
couldn't put that even better if I could. Myself, you know, you don't want to be SaaS guys. You know, car sales guys, SaaS guys. I always use SaaS as an example too. Every single one of you probably has had a SaaS guy, you know, chase you down. There is and for you SaaS guys out there, respect the hustle. But if you're an industrial, it doesn't work. Message them 2 times in one day. And all of you industrial people obviously know that as well. But, you know, making sure, again, having that timeline set up, you know, because you give them that opportunity of, hey, look, I know that I have to talk to Sebastian in 2 weeks. I know that I promised him that I'm going to speak to this. Most of the time, people will honor their promise to you for the most part. You're obviously going to get the people that are going to ghost you, but that's at the point of do everything you can to get them back in the pipeline. Don't take it personally. Next one. We only have 2 more after this one, Laura. I'm almost done. Almost.
I'm in no hurry.
Are you? All right. You want to address potential objections before they arise. So you want to make sure that you know the product or service that you are selling probably has in the industry or the verticals that you guys are selling into, they probably have similar objections, whether that be price, whether that be, you know, delivery time, whether that be, you know, capabilities, whatever it is, making sure that you know the objections that are probably potentially going to come across, and not using a stick or slap response. You can't just use the same response over and over and over again, because the objection might be the same objection, but it'll be worded a little differently and might have a different focus to it. That if you make sure that you grab the thing that they're focusing on, even if it is, I used this as an example, and I'm going to use this as an example. You know, I got into a discovery call with somebody that used the account-based marketing term over and over again. And I kept, you know, trying to pitch, a strategy to them, but they were focused on the account-based marketing. I didn't use ABM in my pitch. As soon as I started using ABM in my pitch and explaining the exact same thing that I was trying to explain to the person that was in the discovery call, all of a sudden they started going, okay, this makes sense now. I understand this now. So you got to take that focus, even if they are using something, that's kind of vague, that you're like, okay, I don't know what that is. Take that focus, try and understand what that objection is, and try and create a solution to it. So objections.
Yeah. We've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. As a salesperson, I think you should be listening. A lot of times they're going to bring them up subtly, even if it's not intentional, I feel like, about what they're focusing on. And if we're being specific in our pitch and we've done our research and we're really paying attention to what they need, your pitch can evolve.
Mm-hmm.
We all have outlines that we work off of. We all have explanations of services and all of that. But if you need to tailor that mid-call to, really get to them,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's worth doing. And not just sticking to a specific script and then trying to address concerns afterwards.
Yeah, because it's at that point of, if you are addressing the concerns as they are arising, they're going to mentally check that off. If you try and address those concerns later, they may have forgotten that was a subliminal thing that they brought up. But if you address that, as you said, you hear their problem and you address it right away, wait for them to finish, because I tend to have that. I have that ADHD problem when I hear them. I gotta tell them. I have to tell them that I have a solution to that problem. I can fix it for you. I promise you, I can fix it for you. Wait for them to finish, then address it.
Yeah.
Even if it is, a minute or two that they have to talk, write that note down. Bloop, I put a big star. If you look at my notes, I have a big star, circle, draw a dinosaur next to it or whatever it is, to make sure that I remember, hey, go back to this, address this concern that they had, ask a follow-up question, and make sure. Sometimes as well, again, you have to ask a follow-up question before you make that answer. Because if you're a little
Definitely.
confused, asking that question, and there is no bad questions. Anybody that says there is, there really isn't. If you're going to go out and ask them, they're going to appreciate you asking it and clarifying their issue. And then if you come to them with a solution, they're going to go, boom, he was just clarifying it, understanding, making sure that we were both on the right page. And now he's provided, or she's provided, this solution to me.
Yeah.
And then that's going to, as I always say, that form of trust, the beginning of every relationship.
You can hear it in their pauses. You can hear it in how they say certain things,
Yeah.
that it will come up later.
Yeah.
I think your ear catches on to it over time.
Yes. Yeah. It definitely.
I know
does.
I've gotten better at it.
I don't think you were about it at the beginning, but
I
anyway.
appreciate that.
So number 7, we're going to use follow-up as an opportunity to add value. Okay. So, you're sitting there. I do it all the time. I sit there and I'm at night, sitting there drinking my beer on my balcony, and I think about a discovery call that I had. What are you laughing at, Laura? I like my Coors Banquet. You want to sponsor me? I'm just kidding.
Shameless
Anyway,
plug.
Shameless plug. Coors Banquet. I love you. Anyway, I'm sitting on my balcony, I'm thinking about the discovery call that I had, and I realized, like, oh man, I should have maybe brought this up. I should have maybe offered them this service. I maybe should have talked about this specific thing. Follow up, baby. That's
There you
literally
go.
perfect thing for you to send in the next email going, hey, I was thinking about, they will love that. Every single person you talk to, if you respond to them, hey, I was thinking about this after our discovery call, they're going to go, this guy cares. If you just forget about them, send them a proposal, and then you're like, okay, I'm just going to do my generic follow-up, they're not going to sit there and actually respect you. Sometimes I'll even go, I'll share something with them. They seem a little bit interested. It's something that they're like, yes, interested in, but not super. I'm going to follow. That's what I'm going to follow up with, adding another sort of value, going, hey, I know we briefly talked about this. Just want to kind of bring this up as an option or a service that we offer, product that you guys offer, a supplemental ad. You're going, hey, I'm selling them this product. I know that this product, if I sell it with it, will benefit them as well. Hey, thinking about it, actually, this product as well, that upsell is very important, especially if you're a product or a service-based company. That upsell is important. And as sales guys, we know that's where we get our big chunk of change, is in that upsell. Because if you do that upsell and you offer them that value and it does work for them, they're always going to be like, yes, let's go. You offer them another product or another service, they're like, yep, the last one he gave to me decreased my downtime, increased my revenue, whatever it might be. Let's add this next service into it. So
Yeah.
Value in the follow-up.
Provide solutions, not problems. I think a lot of times we lean too heavily on templates as well. I think there's a space for them on the automated cold outreach side, but templates and responses, or templates and follow-ups, don't really go together. Your follow-ups, I think, should always be personally written And when you're writing that follow-up, it doesn't hurt to bring your notes.
Yeah.
Even if you were thinking about it, even if you're on top of it, because you might just find that one little edge
Mhm.
that gets you a good response.
Notes. I thought that I took good notes, and I will tell you, I look at Sebastian's notes, and sometimes I'm like, oh man, I need to take some better notes. But luckily, I have Sebastian on my team, so I can just utilize his notes whenever.
Note writing
possible.
live coming soon.
Yeah, where he's gonna write a book about all of his. I'm just kidding. I mean, he might.
That's
He's
too
got
much.
some cool stories.
I'll ghostwrite it.
Yeah, ghostwrite it. Get ChatGPT to do something. All right, number 8, last one. All right, you guys have gotten the RFQ. You're completing the conversation. You're at the end. Ask for the business. Ask for it.
Yeah.
What's the worst that they could say, really? And if they say to you no right then and there, then you've got your answer and you can move along. If they're like, hey, I gotta weigh my options or everything like that, that you can address, that gives you an opportunity. Hey, so what's concerning? You see these guys that are the cars, and I always use this, but this is actually something that's useful that I've seen of one of the, I think it was Grant Cardone actually that said this, if they seem hesitant about it already, I know that your machinery guys, they're comparing quotes and everything like that. So even if that is their response, like, hey, I still have to compare quotes and everything like that, go, okay, cool. Let me know if there's anything that I can do to help, maybe even ask them if you have that relationship. So, hey, you've gotten some quotes before, where do we fall right now? Kind of thing. The worst thing they can say is, I'm not going to tell you, like, not something that I want to share right now. Okay, take that as, don't push it anymore, but you could get an answer out of that. Oh, well, we've gotten a few. You guys are kind of falling like right in the middle. You guys are kind of high. You guys are kind of low. You can draw a lot of inferences. Colin, I'm blaming you because I don't know
as
what to say.
a salesperson, you should already be comfortable with no.
Yeah.
You should be getting no's constantly. And what's the problem with rushing to it? Maybe not rushing to, that's a bad word, but if you're already there and there's no other questions to ask, and you followed up and the ball's in their court as far as making a decision, ask for the business. Ask for information behind the decision. A surprising amount of the time, they're willing to give it to you. Whether it's asking for competitors quotes, asking, hey, where do we fall on the pricing? All completely appropriate. And I think most people aren't going to take offense to that. I haven't gotten anyone yet, knock on wood, that's taken offense. The worst you get is, hey, we're not going to share that.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
Yeah, and that's fine. It's one of those that 50, 60, 70% of the time they might say they're not going to share that. But if you do get that one that's going to share, it's going to give you an edge. You're going to be able to go, okay, hey, we're in the middle of the pack. We're going down the line. Hey, there is actually a little discount that we can offer them. Let's offer them this discount here now, like coming in and going, okay, hey, we can offer them like, a 10% discount on this. Let's offer them there. Then we're kind of like out of the middle and kind of in the lower. There's a lot of different things that you can do if you ask for that business directly and they give you some sort of response. Most of the time, they're not going to say no. Most of the time, they're not going to say yes. But you get that chance of going, hey, they might go, you know what? This sounds too good not to do. Let's do this.
Yeah.
You know,
And over the course of a year, you get 20 yeses where they share the pricing and the other companies that bid. You now have a pretty good idea of where you stand in the market.
Yeah.
I bet you're going to see your competitors a lot of the time in there.
Mhm.
And if you can get that competitive edge, that's
winner,
huge.
chicken dinner.
If you always know how to quote against your competitors, that's good stuff.
That's good stuff. All right. Is there anything else you want to add on this?
No, it's a good
Laura,
live.
do we have any comments or anything like that? Or are we going to end it? Or are we going to go on break? All right. We're going to take a break, guys, and we'll be right back.
See you next year. MFG Tribe out.
What's up, guys? We're back.
back.
We're live. This is an interesting live. It's been fun. I hope that you guys have enjoyed having Sebastian on there because I'm going to drag him onto more of these because I know that Kyle is really busy. And sometimes, as you can see, when we're doing lives is over here. in the business, making sure that everything is going nice and smooth. So we do have a few comments in here. I'm going to address Griff Hall's one first, just because it's a question that I'm going to have is train chillers. Griff, is there something that you would like me to address when it comes to those train chillers? Do you want to tell me, what you mean by that, and then I can maybe address it, or you're just saying that you sell train chillers? Either way, let me know. And then Tim, how's that new? I saw that post with that wood. I think there's some really cool things that you could do with that. I gotta say, I saw that there was, I had a few ideas, you could maybe carve something, your logo out of there or something like that. That seems like a cool piece of wood that you could do something with. I'm looking forward to seeing what you're going to do with it. Kyle is not running the cameras. I don't think Laura would trust Kyle to run the cameras. It is Laura. I would not trust Kyle to run the cameras. I also like to see Laura's face over there, because when I start to get nervous, I just look over there and she reassures me that I might look silly, but she's at least over there, laughing at me. So, and then your question, how do you handle RFQs from a client that has multiple projects, but the first one on the table isn't a good fit? So I would honestly be really honest with them, Tim. I would go, hey, look, I see that you have multiple projects coming in. This one right now for us isn't the best fit, but then start really harping on the other projects that are and explain why they're such a good fit for you guys. I think people would rather, and I know that people would rather you be honest with them instead of going like, yeah, we could do this and not deliver them, a perfect product or whatever it might be. Address those projects that are a fit. Go, look, this one's not a fit. If you have somebody that that it would be a better fit, boom, reference them. Go, hey, we're not a fit for this one. Jimbo over here is a really good fit for this, however, but we can partner with you with this. And then really harp on the things that you can fit in the project, or the things that you can accomplish in the projects that work, because they're going to trust you. They're going to go, okay, hey, they were honest with me. They're going to deliver. They're going to feel that sense of they're going to deliver me a pristine expert product because they said, hey, this is not quite a fit, but these ones are. And that also builds that sense of trust, Tim, that sense of they know what they're talking about. They know what they can do. And with that reference, I know that you probably have 100 references in your Rolodex of people who could probably help them out. And then you give them another, and it helps the community in there. And then the reference that you did might do the same thing. Hey, this isn't a fit for me. Tim's got that new Kennametal machine that he's out there. So you've got more fits now. So did you have anything you wanted to add to that? I feel like you might.
No, I think I agree. Just because you can't help them solve the problem the way you initially thought doesn't mean you can't help them solve the problem with somebody else.
Yeah.
And there you strengthen two relationships. One, through honesty with the person you couldn't help right now. You may be able to help them in the future.
Yeah.
And with whoever you refer them to, whether that's another agency, another service provider, another machine builder, whatever that is.
Yeah.
No, I think you answered that well.
Yeah, appreciate it. Adam Schmidt has one in here. He says, how long do you pursue a client with great potential but refuse to respond to anything? Adam, I will find where they live and I will knock on their door until they tell me to go away.
Until they say no.
Until they say no. Legitimately, until they say no. Change up the ways that you're doing it. Maybe go to different decision makers. Maybe try, if they're ghosting you, maybe try and go to their boss. If it is a CEO that you're dealing with, maybe try and go to, the CFO or the CEO or whoever it might be that deals with them directly. I want to make sure I'm going to go after them until they say no. If it takes 2, 3, 4 years for them to actually give me that no, I'm still going to follow up with them because their needs are forever changing. They may have gone, okay, let's put this on the back burner for now. I'm not going to respond to him. But if you keep that follow up, it could start eking, back to the front burner where they're like, oh, now this is an issue. Adam's in my inbox all the time asking if he can solve this problem for me. Let's go with Adam. He's always following up with me. He's always offering me a solution to the thing that we discussed. So just keep going until they say no. And even after they say no, put them in a nurture. 6 months down the road, start asking them again, because the product or service that you're offering they're going to need again. The machinery doesn't last forever. If they're a growing company, they're going to need more machinery, the products, the services, they're going to need it again. So always keep them following up unless they hate your guts. But I don't think that anybody out there, for the most part, unless you're a bad sales guy, and I know Adam is not going to say I hate your guts, don't want to buy from you. So
yeah, and you got to respect the hustle.
Yeah.
We get emails that some might consider spammy, and you know what? Just a salesperson learning the ropes.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important to go after these prospects in multiple channels. Whether you're calling them on the phone, whether you're emailing, we like using LinkedIn. It's a good way to stay in touch casually. They can see what you're up to. You can see what they're up to. And keep an eye for, I believe they call them trigger events. I learned this from a training the other day. Whenever you see them posting something, or if they're a big company, they're in the news, some kind of article, look for any kind of information that could give you an edge. Because if they just made a post that week about how they are building a new warehouse, you can put that in your subject. New warehouse, need machines?
Yeah.
Hit them that way. Ideally, they connect back with you. And like in our case, they're checking out the content.
Yeah.
They may not need marketing right now, but in a couple of years, the businesses change, economic conditions change, and your service may be viable.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah. One more thought on that. I liked your note about looking for different points of contact. When looking at marketing teams, a lot of time your director, CMO isn't the most accessible, but marketing specialists, usually young, they're hungry, they want to make an impact, and they may have the time to sit down and talk to you in a way that their boss doesn't. And if you can get them on your side, now they look at, hey, if I bring in this awesome company and they do well, that reflects well on me.
Yeah.
And then you have them in your park fighting for you.
Yeah.
And we have that right now with a client that we're talking to with a North American arm. And they're kind of talking to the German arm saying, look, email marketing is very different in the States. They have very different rules in the EU. And so we need a different strategy. And so she's really on our side, bringing it to HQ about how an American agency has an edge.
yeah. And, perfect example as well. He used that, if you have the head of engineering that's sitting there doing, you're trying to get the head of engineering, go after one of those smaller engineers, go after one of the younger engineers. As Kyle said, we'll say, he just walked in again, Kyle's back. He's now operating the cameras. Anyway, as Kyle would say, go after the engineer. And just as Sebastian said, he's hungry, he's young, he wants to bring value into it. So going after him and saying, hey, look, this is the value that I can bring it, potentially he could assist you, bring it to him, maybe bring it back up to that front burner where it's like, hey, now one of my engineers is saying that this actually is an issue that we need to address. This is something that we need to do. So bringing it back up to that front burner. So
Definitely. Got any more questions in there?
Adam said, great point at going after the marketing team.
Awesome. Thanks, Adam.
All right. I think that is it. I think Kyle might have something that he wants to say on the live. He's over here back again. Nope, he doesn't have anything he wants to say. All right. Thank you guys for showing up to our live. We really appreciate it. Make sure you guys are following Kyle on LinkedIn, follow me on LinkedIn, follow Sebastian on LinkedIn as well. Make sure you're following our YouTubes, anywhere that you can watch or listen to a podcast. We're on there. Laura, is there anything else that I missed?
Google our names. We'll show up.
Yeah, Google our names. We'll show up. But we really appreciate you guys.
Thanks,
We'll
guys.
see you on the next one.